Welcome to It Was Never You, where we talk about narcissist, high conflict personalities, how to heal from the relationships. So, today's topic is why is it so hard to let go of the narcissist in your life, the toxic person, the toxic relationships? Oftentimes, people will say, well, why didn't they just leave? Why don't they just leave if they're in such a toxic relationship? I don't believe it is ever that easy, and that's not to say in some instances it can be that easy, but when you're dealing with somebody that has narcissistic tendencies and is able to manipulate you, it is hard to leave because they know when to throw crumbs towards you to get you attached to them again. When you've gotten to the point where you're like, that's it, I'm leaving, they've already built up this momentum, this cognitive dissonance, they kind of destroy who you are as a person and destroy your identity and get you to believe all these kind of falsehoods about yourself. So if you take all these things into account, it would lead you to the conclusion that it is difficult to leave such a relationship because you are so off kilter and so confused about what is your fault, what is your part in it. They have a tendency to turn the blame towards the victim and portray themselves as a victim when they are in fact the abuser. And you fall for it because, again, what they have done is they have broken down your identity and they've made you believe all kinds of lies about yourself. Another thing that I would ask that you guys look into if this is what you are dealing with. There is a book by Pete Walker. It is called Complex PTSD. That book, if you have been raised in a toxic environment, if you've been raised in a dysfunctional family with a narcissist at the head, or a couple of them, or whatever the case may be, let me turn the chat on. What ends up happening is that you may have an attachment style from childhood. One of them, you could be a people pleaser. So now you were raised to be a people pleaser. You were raised to believe that you are the reason that people are upset and that you're the cause of it, even as a child. And this kind of stays with you into adulthood. So you operate in adulthood with believing that you need to please everybody around you and your wants and needs aren't important. So that book will help you understand your trauma bonding style. That book is excellent in describing how you as a person, after growing up in dysfunction, react to situations, why you react the way that you do, and almost helps you reprogram your brain and gives you a total understanding of why you operate the way that you do. So it could be in childhood you had a father that was very dismissive. You had a father that, although he gave the verbal affirmations that he loved you, and you know I love you, right? Of course I love you. I'm doing this because I love you, but was very dismissive of your feelings. You learn, especially if you're a woman. Let's just use that as an example. So you're a girl and you've been raised with a father that was very dismissive of your wants and your needs, and was not a protector, because the father to the daughter is a protector. And he is the example of her first love and her relationship, how she views herself as a woman in relationships. I do, in my opinion, believe that is what happens with a father-daughter relationship. So you've been raised in a childhood with a father that is that way and treats you that way. Okay, so the brain has a funny way of replaying childhood roles that you fit in order for you to correct the situation. Your brain is trying to correct the wrong that happened to you during childhood. this thought process and these, it always comes with introspection, going to the root, going to your childhood and why you believe, like yesterday, why you believe that you deserve this from the narcissist. On a surface level, you may say, well, I don't deserve this. I deserve to be loved. But go down a couple layers. Is that really what you believe about yourself? Now, some people may say, well, I just got entrenched in with this toxic person, and now I see it, and no, I don't want to deal with this person, and I'm not going to deal with them anymore. But some of us are replaying childhood situations in order to get the outcome that we want without even consciously knowing what we are doing. But when you're conscious about it and you understand it, you can work to dig deeper to heal it. Why is it so hard for me to leave the narcissist? Because A, they give you crumbs. Because B, you may feel like this is what you deserve on a subconscious level. C, your attachment style from childhood. Because they make it very difficult for you to actually cut the cord and walk away, because there's always an ulterior motive, because they will show their vulnerable side when you've had enough. They know when you've had enough, okay? So they're going to show their vulnerable side, and they're going to say, I can't believe you're doing this to me. Why are you leaving me? How could, after everything I've done for you, look at how that you're treating me. Look at how you're treating me. You're treating me like I never knew you. All the while, you've been revving up to this because you've come to the point where you've had enough. You've cried your tears during their relationship, but they're smug and they're going through the relationship knowing that they're manipulating you and knowing that they're harming you, but not having the ability to empathize and to put themselves in your shoes to even care that they're hurting you. And now you've had enough. So then you walk away. Now you're the bad guy. You may be a people pleaser and you don't want to be the bad guy. Or you may be that inner child inside of you may be screaming. They may tell you, I don't love you. I never loved you. Now you're going to make it your mission to get this person to love you. Because in childhood, that is how you felt. You felt like you had to please people in your family in order to get them to love you. This is not love. Love is unconditional. Like, you love your child no matter what your child does, no matter how your child acts. You may get mad at them, but you're not going to not love them. A narcissist love is conditional based upon their needs being met. So they will show you that they love you, or their idea of what love is, when they get their needs met. It's supply and demand. You meet the supply, they meet your demand for love. But it's not unconditional. You can get into an argument with somebody and still show that person compassion. If you grew up in a toxic childhood, in a toxic environment as a child, you may not have the tools to understand what unconditional love actually is, because it was never modeled to you. This is not your fault when you were a child. Now you're an adult. Now you need to figure out what that is. We also have a skewed idea and a skewed version of what love really is. What is love to you? What is love? Is it somebody... and then there's your love language. And if they know what your love language is, they're going to do everything they can to not meet your love language, but then throw you a crumb when they deem it necessary to get you back, to reel you back in. It's that, like, catching. They're going to catch you, they're going to release you. They're going to catch you when they need you, then they're going to release you. You're going to be constantly yo-yoed with these people. And all you have to do is look at the evidence, look at the past evidence, the one of the greatest predictors of the future is looking at the past and saying what happened. You have all the evidence in front of you. Are you willing to look at the evidence, or you're going to give them a pass and say, well, it's because they were brought up in trauma. It's because they were treated this way. They don't know any better. Okay, is that an excuse? If you go to court and you didn't know any better, but you still committed a crime, you're still guilty of that crime. Now, I understand that we're not meant to be judge, jury, and executioner. Just look at the evidence. What does your evidence tell you about this person? It's hard to let go of somebody, especially a narcissist, because they attack you at your core. They attack you at your identity. Now you're going to want to prove what they are saying and what they have said about you is wrong. But the battle is futile, because the battle was never about who you are as a person. It is about their projected self-image and their self-hatred about themselves. Once we realize it was never about us, that's why the channel is called It Was Never You. It was never you. Now you get a deeper understanding of what exactly you've been through. Now you need to take the steps to correct the situation. So why do I believe I still love this person? Write a list. Write it out. What do I love about this person? Do they show me they love me? What is love? What is unconditional love? How are we meant to love? These are all things that we need as people to ask ourselves, especially if we've been brought up in trauma. Ask yourself that. Is this love good enough? Why am I not good enough? And who told me I'm not good enough? Did you hear as a child, nobody's ever going to put up with you? Does the narcissist tell you nobody's ever going to be able to put up with you in a relationship? That would attack that core belief from childhood that nobody's going to be able to put up with you. How do they know this? They're master manipulators. Don't believe me? They've probably said the same thing to you. Nobody's ever going to be able to put up with you. You're so hard to deal with. Why are you so argumentative? Why do you always bring these things up at the wrong time? Why are you so sensitive? What is wrong with you? That was one of my favorites. What is wrong with you? The actual question in itself denotes there is something wrong with you as a person. Not, are you okay? What's going on? It's what is wrong with you. You see the wording? You have to dig into what these people say to you and why they say it. And is it true about you? Because if you've had long-term relationships from childhood, if you've had long-term friendships, this is not true. Do you maybe operate differently in an intimate relationship as opposed to a friendship? Maybe. But does that mean that people in an intimate relationship will never be able to put up with you because you're so hard to deal with? No, there is no evidence of that. There is evidence quite to the contrary. But it is your belief about yourself that is allowing you to stay in this relationship with this person who doesn't understand your value and will never understand your value. What is your value? Do you really love this person? Or do you want to force this person to love you the way you need to be loved when they have shown that they do not have the capacity to do it and have given you no past evidence that they are able to do that? You think about that. What is your worth? All right, that is it for this topic. Thank you guys for being here, for listening. Take care. See you soon.